Let's talk to Alex Phillips, advisor to the Reform Party, of course, and a veteran of many fights with slings and arrows and all the rest of it. Alex, very good morning to you.
Hi, good morning.
Isn't it good to see Prince Harry finally turns up for his own court hearing, having not decided to turn up yesterday, much to the judge's chagrin? I'm really looking forward to him being grilled by a professional barrister who isn't in the pay of, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex's PR campaign.
Yeah, well, he doesn't make life easy for himself, does he? He doesn't know how and when to pick his battles. And, the thing is about the media, by and large, in the print world, there is a code of honour. If you go about parading your own privacy, then they think, fine, we're perfectly entitled to hold you to account and also stick our noses in there. But he wants it all one way and not the other. Although I would say, in his defence, the accusations he is levelling against the Mirror Group of newspapers, which a number of other celebs are also levelling, are pretty serious. This goes back to the phone hacking scandal, rifling dustbins, the sort of journalistic practices that thankfully have been put to bed. But it's interesting, isn't it?
Well, they're all allegations, and most of them are going to be thrown out. And I think the Mirror disputes every single one of them, except for one thing which they did, which they've already apologised for. Right,
and it's interesting, isn't it, that he's so exercised by this, and yet we'll talk about his, frostbitten member in a book and the sort of lauded details of drugs taking, which now has him in trouble with, the border forces in America, Homeland Security. So, I mean, he's bitten off far more than he can chew, and he's going to be going up against some pretty aggressive lawyers today, and that's going to involve a lot of probing, a lot of challenge, and it'll be interesting to see how he handles that.
Well, because, as I said to Julia Hartley-Brewer this morning, him staying away yesterday is proof of his sort of, rather supercilious attitude towards the rest of the world. He thinks he can do whatever he wants, whenever he wants to do it. He's used to having people at his beck and call. When he forgot his polo gear that time, he's just got somebody to drive it to his private jet so that they could put it on the plane for him. And it was the only thing he had to remember to do, but he forgot to do it. But he was able to make a call, not like you and I. If you and I get to the airport and realise we've left our luggage behind, we just have to get on the plane without it.
Yeah, no, exactly. He has lived a life of entitlements. And it'll be interesting, actually, to see what his multi-million-dollar team of agents and PR supremos and, little journalist friends and brand ambassadors and advisors and this whole cohort of Hollywood bigwigs that they've now employed. It'll be interesting to see what they're planning to do with this court appearance, because no doubt they'll be there using every single sentence, every single development as feeding the whole narrative that poor Harry is some kind of victim.
Yeah.
Wouldn't be surprised if there's going to be Netflix part 2, what happened next with Harry and Meghan. It'll be all the behind the scenes. Oh, Meghan, isn't it bad? Look at what these awful lawyers have said. Holding up the mobile phone while she goes, oh!
Yeah. And also, for a guy who says that it's very dangerous for him to come to Britain because people are trying to kill him and that it's very expensive and, he needs all sorts of protection while he's here. He comes here an awful lot. He's only just been here. He was only here about 2 weeks ago and now he's back. And he's got something like 6 different court cases going on in the same building.
Yeah, well, he's an ambassador for climate change as well, isn't he? And he seems to spend a lot of time crossing the Atlantic on private. So, nothing about Harry adds up. We know that. The wider public, both here and across the pond, know that. Journalists know that. And they're essentially doing a whole lot of damage to their brand. Now, if he had done things in a better order, if he had said to the media, look, I want to challenge you on the amount that you've been digging about my life and the harm it's caused, because this goes back to his relationship with Chelsea Davy. Interesting, actually, isn't it? When they start probing around in that relationship, I can imagine smoke coming out of Meghan's ears and that lady's turning red and the skin going an unhealthy pallor of green. But if he had addressed that and then said, I want my privacy, sodded off to America and got some privacy, then fine. I think he would have a case to make. But as the South Park spoof so beautifully represented, he seems to want to tell everybody every gory detail of his life, live like some kind of Kardashian, and then say, sorry, my private life isn't for sale. Well, it is. You have just sold it for millions of pounds.
I'm afraid so. It's going to be glorious, I think. It's going to be quite amusing, and it's going to keep us all occupied for at least 2.5 hours or so while we do this show.